What's going on, guys? Flyby Simulations here, and welcome back to another video. So as the title and thumbnail probably suggests, today we're going to be taking a look specifically at some teaser images and some information shared by the iniBuilds team regarding their upcoming A310 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Moreover, the FlyByWire simulations team, who are developing the freeware FlyByWire A32NX mod for Microsoft Flight Simulator, have also detailed some amazing changes that are being made to their ND, LNAV, VNAV, and FMS systems. So we're going to be checking out all of that in today's video. Now, normally I do upload my add-on Spotlight series every single week. However, simply speaking, there hasn't been enough add-on development this week to actually warrant a video. So that will be coming next week, and I hope we have enough content by then to be able to create a full video that is dedicated to all of the development that's been happening in Microsoft Flight Simulator, including aircraft, airport, and utilities. Now, just before we get started though, it does take a little bit of time to actually compile these videos and create these update videos for you guys. So if you guys could find it in you to just take 1 second and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon so you guys stay notified in future videos, that would be absolutely fantastic. I also have a Discord server that is linked down below in the description section of the video if you guys want to intimately get involved with the ongoings of Flyby Simulations and want to contribute ideas for future videos. So with that all said, let's jump into the video. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so let's start with the teaser images shared by the iniBuilds team on their Discord server this week. So we've known for a while that iniBuilds are deep into the development of the A310 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. However, it has been a little while since we heard from them last, but that silence has finally been broken with a couple of teasers on the team's Discord channel. iniBuilds' Ubed said, "This month is going to be great for our Microsoft Flight Simulator flyers." Now that itself was a pretty big tease because that means that something big is coming for the Microsoft Flight Simulator platform, and they also shared this accompanying image. It's just the PFD for the aircraft. You can also see the analog gauge right next to it, showing that the A310 is obviously an older model of the Airbus line or the Airbus fleet. You can see some of the important pertinent details on the primary flight display as well. Just some common stuff. You see the speed tape, you see the artificial horizon, as well as some of the indicators up top, including vertical speed, heading, some of the color corrections you guys can judge, those of you who know Airbus systems intimately as well. However, whilst that tease was enough to send people wild, a day later Ubed shared another image showing even more of the aircraft in the simulator. Now in the second image, as you guys can clearly see, we get to see a little bit more of the cockpit as the pilot is flying into the sunset or sunrise, I don't know what it is. You can see plenty of wear and tear in the cockpit along with some of the systems running on the ECAM memo down below as well. Furthermore, you can also see some of the analog gauges being represented perfectly down below. iniBuilds obviously has a great reputation with their fleet of aircraft for X-Plane 11, so it's great to see that they're also developing for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and we can come to expect a certain level of quality from this developer when they eventually do enter the platform. Even looking at the FCU or flight control unit or the autopilot control panel, we can see the heading gauge, we can see the speed gauge as well as the altitude gauge. We can see some of those buttons right under the altitude gauge that are representative of the older FCU models on the older Airbus aircraft as well. We see a bunch of new stuff on the ECAM memo as well, as I said before, which means that the aircraft has seen significant development to the point where they've actually managed to implement such fine details as well. We also over there see the blue, green, and yellow hydraulic lines, which is also great, which means the system simulation will be in depth. And overall, seeing this much detail in the development of this aircraft already is a great sign, meaning that the aircraft is probably going to be gracing our simulators very, very soon. Now, if you guys haven't checked out my recent PMDG development update where they said that the wait is nearly over and the aircraft might be going into beta soon, the PMDG 737 is coming for the simulator. The Phoenix A320 is also going into beta very soon. Now we have the A310 coming to the simulator. Quality Wings might be releasing their 787, who knows? So this year is shaping up to be a fantastic year for airliners within the sim, and Microsoft Flight Simulator might finally go from being called just a scenery simulator to actually an in-depth flight simulator. So I'm pretty happy about that, and I hope the community take kindly to these updates in the future. Now, it's important to note, however, that though Ubed from iniBuilds did say that February is going to be a great month for Microsoft Flight Simulator users, it does stop short of confirming if the A310 will release this month. There was no confirmation news, there was nothing like that. That's why I tried to keep the title of this video as clear as possible. I didn't want to say that it has been released or something. There's just been great news about the aircraft, which is good to see. Regardless, whatever the team at iniBuilds has planned up their sleeves for February, we are very excited. Even seeing more of these preview images, watching the aircraft go into into beta, or, you know, getting some pre-release copies for us content creators, that would be great, basically allowing us to share more stuff with you guys in the future as well. So fantastic news all around. Let's now move on to the FlyByWire Simulations' A320NX mod development updates. Alright guys, so starting off with the development updates about the A32NX mod, I'd like to preface that the background footage that you guys are seeing, of course, is the Captain Sim 777. It's not the FlyByWire A32NX. Now, I would like to have the FlyByWire A32NX flying in the background as I talk about that aircraft. However, I have been experiencing a few issues with my simulator, so I'm only using the footage that I had previously captured from my simulator. So I hope that's okay. Of course, I don't want anybody in the comments to be like, hey, do you not know the difference between these aircraft? I very much do, but that's just a limitation that I have right now to be fixed by the next video. Anyways, moving on to the update itself, the FlyByWire team has given us a development update of their Airbus A32NX, detailing some of the current development efforts regarding the freeware add-on. The team will be posting several updates over the coming weeks in order to announce all the things in store for 2022. So think of it like a 2022 roadmap that a lot of different developers have provided. We're going to be getting something similar from the FlyByWire team as well. For now, the update focuses on the custom flight management system that the FlyByWire team have crafted. Now, version 1.5 of the custom FMS is currently available from the experimental branch and contains several changes to how the flight plan is accessed and displayed on the navigation display, or ND. In practice, this means that the ND no longer has access to the flight plan, and instead the FMS is now responsible for drawing it. Now, this is great news because as developers move towards making more proprietary systems, like, for example, the FMS drawing the ND instead of the ND drawing it itself, it's good because it increases system depth and it makes the immersion and realism within these aircraft more apparent. So that's good news. So as you guys can clearly see from the images here, there's clearly a lot of clutter in this image. You guys can see that the star system has not been incorporated very well. There's a lot of turns, there's a lot of holds, there's a bunch of complicated stuff. Even on this image, as you guys can see, the intercept pattern is very much sort of elliptical, and it just doesn't look right. I mean, if you look at a normal flight path, it would never look like that in a real aircraft. And even if you look at some other simulators, for example, the Flight Factor A320 in X-Plane 11 or the FS Labs or something like that, the actual flight path that you see will be very different. Now, as you guys can see in these images over here, you can see how the flight path is very, very smooth. You can see how complicated star procedures are also implemented very well, and it's apparent that a lot of effort has gone into custom coding these aspects into the FlyByWire A32NX system, and I can't be more happier. Also included, however, in the 1.5 FMS update are improvements to how the lateral paths are generated. The flight paths can now be drawn significantly more accurately than before, as I said. Now, this is called the turn prediction algorithm that you guys have seen in the pictures here, which has also received an upgrade and now supports several more turn cases. These comply with the new leg types included in the lateral path changes and should also provide more accurate and robust predictions. So if you input 2 waypoints and an airway in the middle, the system on board the aircraft will know how to get you from one waypoint to the other in as best a manner as possible. Last but not the least, the guidance algorithm has also been updated to reduce cross-track errors, provide more precise navigation, and reduce the performance impact. The team has also shared some of the future developments coming to the FMS. FMS V2, or the version 2, will feature improved flight planning and route stringing. In practice, this means that the flight plan should be able to connect much better with different kind of flight path segments, such as SIDS and en route airways. A few more changes were listed, such as support for missed approaches, as well as alternate and secondary flight plans. Now, that last part, again, is very, very exciting. I've always wanted to simulate some sort of bomb threat at the arrival airport and be able to divert my flight instead of just performing normal operations from point A to point B. Having the opportunity to perform non-normal operations by including a point C in the mix would be very, very interesting. Now, as you guys can clearly see from the first picture here, there's tons of information that is apparent on the screen. You have speed constraints, you have altitude constraints, you have various different top of climb, top of descent indicators that weren't present before. So tons of new stuff being added to the simulator here as well. Fantastic news all around. And also, almost forgot to mention, this second image, we can clearly see a picture of the FMS itself. There's a track. We can see altitude constraints, speed constraints. We can see the specific distances between each of the waypoints here as well, along with their radial and track routes on here. You can also see the progress and the estimated time it'll take you to go from one waypoint to the other. All of this stuff is very representative of the real A320, and I'm happy that these systems are finally being implemented in the FlyByWire team's rendition of the A32NX. Now, with all the improvements improvements made to the LNAV system, or the lateral navigation system, as mentioned above, the team has also been able to make considerable progress on the VNAV system, or the vertical navigation system. The FMS will be able to predict a full altitude profile, including altitude and speed constraints, as I mentioned before. These are in turn also used for creating a more accurate lateral path, and thus the two systems heavily rely on each other and complement each other. VNAV predictions are recomputed regularly during flight to account for different kind of changes to provide more accurate information. So, as I said before, the VNAV and LNAV system working together can provide a truly realistic experience of flying an A320, and I can't wait to get this into my sim, maybe perform a full flight from point A to point B and show the potency of this aircraft and this update to you guys sitting at home. There are, however, still a few challenges in the implementation of the FMS. Some calculations still require certain data that is not yet available or needs to be simulated before the FMS is able to create an accurate prediction. So the FlyByWire team is clearly telling us that it's not a done and done dusted cake. We still have quite a bit of baking yet to do, a few systems still to be implemented, a few errors to be fixed, and a few performance enhancements to be implemented before the aircraft becomes completely reminiscent of an A320. So I'm glad that they're keeping that sort of window open. They're still waiting to sort of open up their horizons and overall make improvements to the A320 system as time passes. So that was all that we had from FlyByWire Simulations A320. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so that's all we had for today's development update. As I mentioned before, Add-on Spotlight will be coming again next week, and we're going to have tons of new stuff to check out in terms of new aircraft, new sceneries, new utilities that are being released for the simulator. However, from what we've seen today, there's still some very, very exciting news in the airliner and the aircraft department for the simulator, and I can't be more excited, to be perfectly honest. So I'm going to keep the conclusion short. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and also hit that bell icon so you guys get notified every time I upload one of these news and update videos, so you guys can stay up to date with everything Flight Simulator. Also, as I mentioned before, make sure to join my Discord server linked down in the description section of the video if you guys want a safe space to discuss anything that is aviation, aerospace, and flight simulation. I started the Discord server around 3 weeks ago, and we're already sitting at around 35 members, so there's some fantastic growth that I'm seeing there, and I would love to see you guys there as well. So with that all said, thanks for flying by.